My name is Attorney Joan Clay. I am actually the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called the Village Legal and Community Project. So we are a nonprofit based on the south side of Chicago. We offer pro bono civil legal services. We also offer legal services to small businesses. And we have a cohort for entrepreneurs who are interested in starting a business. This is part of our economic development programming. So tonight, I'm actually very excited to welcome Kristi Dawson to the show. Kristi, thank you for joining us. And you are actually you served in the Army, is that correct?
That is correct. I served in the Army, and my MOS was 93 Papa Aviation Operations. I served my entire military career at Fort Hood in Texas. I am a veteran.
Well,
Yes, I
thank
am.
you so much for your service. I'm excited to welcome you because, one of our big initiatives is entrepreneurship, and we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So not only are you an entrepreneur, but you're also a consultant and you work with entrepreneurs. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Havana, about your coffee business?
So I started I was living in Atlanta in 2018. I started my coffee company. I always tell the story that I had one too many bad cups of coffee. And so I began the journey of testing coffee blends and purchasing, green beans and roasting them myself just to come up with a better cup of coffee. And so I was like, well, if I want a better cup of coffee, I'm sure there are other coffee drinkers and coffee lovers that would love a better cup of coffee. So I started my journey, and here I am in Chicago now. And so we sell online at the moment, whole beans, ground coffee, and things like that, as well as herbal tea. And
And
so,
so
yeah, I love coffee. I know everyone else does too.
well, I'm a coffee lover, so I
Yes.
always get excited to talk to people who actually took, an everyday thing for them and said, "Hold on a minute. I think that I can do this differently. I think I could do this better. So why not?"
Yes.
Um, if you had what are your top 3 tips you have for any entrepreneur now that you've invested, several years in developing your business? If I asked you what top 3 tips or advice you would have for an entrepreneur, what would they be?
Number one is to get a mentor. So even if you have a mentor that's in your industry, or if you just have a mentor that has been in business for a while, I would get a mentor and kind of lean on them for advice on running a business. Secondly, I would say research, lots of research for your industry, lots of just reading, a lot of research, attending conferences and things like that. Whatever industry you want to be in, I would get as much knowledge. You never stop learning, but in the very beginning, research is very important. And then three is business credit. So learn how to build your business credit, because a lot of times we try to fund our business with our own money or pouring back into the business of whatever money we have. But if you build your business credit as well as your personal credit, you can fund your business. I always tell people, don't necessarily rely on business grants or grants for profits, because they're few and far between and very competitive to get those grants. So I would depend on business credit, personal credit. So building those are my top 3.
Yeah, I think that there's a common misconception. I hear this from a lot of entrepreneurs like, oh, I'll just apply for a grant for the business. And I always have to go into this discussion about the difference between for profit and nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
because even for a nonprofit, some of the funding can be, difficult to obtain. We are, a relatively newer 501c3. There are some funders who, unless you have XYZ years of being an organization or an XYZ number in your budget, they won't
Mm-hmm.
even consider you like for a grant. And for the for-profit, it's actually a lot harder because they're asking about your track record. And if you are
Yes.
a new business, then you don't necessarily have that track record. So I heard a lot, and I hear it a lot from people like, oh, I'm going to start my business. And I'm like, okay, so let's talk about funding. How are you going to fund your business? And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, there are grants out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes I'm called the dream dasher.
Oh,
You know,
same.
as a lawyer, I don't want to be the dream dasher. I like to say I'm more of the dose of reality that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to you have to put into the mix with people. So I think that you're absolutely right. People really need to, when you're thinking about starting a business, look at your personal finances and then determine how you can establish business credit.
Yes.
There are a lot of different ways you can do that. There are some, for example, spaces where you have a virtual office or a virtual
Mhm.
mailbox, but they report your payment histories to the credit bureaus, and that helps you build your credit score.
That is absolutely
But there
correct.
are stores where you can get in-store credit, and
Mhm.
they also report that. So I think that you really touched on a great point where people really have to think about their personal finances and then finances for the business.
Mhm.
And one of the other reasons why I was really excited to have you on here is, in addition to being an entrepreneur, you're also a consultant. So
Correct.
tell me a little bit about Creative Impact and the consulting services that you guys offer.
Okay, so I started Creative Impact some time ago because I was writing grants in for myself. So I built my own business plan, and I was like, well, why can't I teach others? Because I found it very difficult to cipher through everything that's on the internet, because the internet has so much information. You just don't know what to put into your business, or what information you need specifically for your business. And so I try to simplify it for my clients. And so I do business plans and summarize business plans, the proposals, grant writing, grant consulting to help others apply for their own grants or try to find funding, because I just felt like it was very challenging for me as a business owner to try to get that information in one place. It was very challenging, a lot of red tape. It was just very difficult. So I said, let me teach. And so I even started a blog. I have a book that I had to take back because I'm such a perfectionist. So I've been writing this book for a while and took it back. I think I'm starting on book number 3, and I haven't released one, because I really want to help others. I really want you to the kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to entrepreneurship. And so I'm very, very vocal and very transparent with individuals that want to start, or even those who have already started their business. Why are you stuck? Why have you plateaued? Let's help you grow and scale your business. And so I felt like I had a wealth of knowledge. Why not help others get to where they want to get in their business? So that's what I do with Creative Impact.
So why don't you explain for those who are not familiar, what is a business plan?
So a business plan is a roadmap for your business. And so it's always a live working document. And so as a startup, it can be very challenging to gather the information you need, especially when it comes to your financial documents, because you're like, what is a profit and loss? What does this startup cost? Like, how do I know these things? And so the business plan just kind of outlines what you want individuals to know about your business, and to explain to them why you need the funding for your business. And so there are things called summarized business plan. Most people call it one page, but a lot of times you have a lot of information, so it becomes just a summarized one. And this type of business plan is for those who to give to those who kind of like just want to get like a 30-second pitch, or just a summarized version of your plan, right? And so then you have the longer business plan that comes out to about maybe 10, 15 pages. Some people I've heard 25, 30. That's a lot of reading, and most funders probably won't read that. I'm just be honest, but it's good for you to keep you on track for your business, your short-term goals, your long-term goals. What is your company vision? What is your mission? Like, what is your target market? What is your who are your competitors? Like, you have to know all of that information, because once you put that on paper, you get it out of your head, put it on paper. I always say, put your vision on paper, get it out of your head and put it down. It doesn't have to be perfect at first, but then when you're getting ready to present it, then you do have to make it a little readable, right, for the funders. And so you have angel investors, you have regular investors, you have the banks, friends, family. So I would give the summarized business plan to those like friends and family that just kind of want to know what you're doing, if they want to give smaller amounts. But then the longer business plan kind of goes to the credit unions and the banks and the angel investors, so they know exactly that you know what you want, you know what you need. You can request the amount of money. You just know everything that you want to give to them. So that is what a business plan, a roadmap for your business. It kind of keeps you on track, and it lets the funders know what you need, and if you actually know about your business.
Why do you think so many people struggle with like doing a business plan? Do you think it's just the idea of the document? I know people, and I've talked to some people like, oh, I've seen a business plan and it's like 100 pages, 150 pages. And so no, I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
What do you think the biggest stumbling block is for our entrepreneurs when it comes to doing the business plan? Because I know a lot of business owners
Hmm.
who have been operating for some time who don't
Without
have a business plan.
without it. So I think the challenge is one thing is not a challenge, but most people think they don't need it. And that's not true. You need to put it on paper so that you can have a guide to what you want to do. And so, or how you want your business to grow. Like, and it's necessary, right? And then another thing, I think people are just fearful of writing it because they want it to be perfect, and then or they think someone might take their idea or something like that. And so another thing, I think I said this in the beginning, that is very, it's a lot of information on the internet. So you sit down and you type in just 2 words, business plans, you get so much information, pages and pages and pages of templates of how it should look, how it shouldn't look. And the internet can be very intimidating when it comes to writing the business plan. And so you just don't know where to start. And so consultants like myself can kind of help you, put you on the right road to get you started on writing it, but you absolutely need it for yourself. And if you want eventually to get funding. Yeah. So I think it's fear, just not knowing where to start, and then thinking they don't know it. They don't need it. I'm sorry.
And I often have to tell people because they think, oh, I'm supposed to sit down and just write it all in one day.
No.
And I'm like, so write in stages. And, there are different areas of the business plan. Pick a topic
Hmm.
and fill in that section. So I think
Yeah.
that you have to make it into smaller bites for people so that they're not as intimidated by it.
Right.
What do you think? Because now AI is just everywhere. It literally every industry isn't trying to incorporate AI
Hmm.
into what they do. What do you think about the use of AI with writing business plans?
Well, AI, that's another thing. So AI really can put all of that information into one paragraph a lot of times. And so, but you also, AI is still pretty general. So it kind of pulls from everywhere to answer your question or to write what you needed to write. And so you still have to take what AI says and kind of make it your own. So you don't want to be a cookie cutter when it comes to your business plan. And then some people, I don't think most funders will slide in it and do what universities do, slide, have that when they can tell that it's AI and you plagiarize or whatever, however they do it. However, if you're going to use AI, I would just kind of make it my own. Look at the paragraph, don't make it sound so formal. And then I use it too. Like if I can't get a sentence out, if I need a title for something, or if I have a title but I want it to sound um, attractive, then I will use AI. But I'm using it to write an entire business plan. It can be a guide, but I wouldn't use it to write your entire business plan.
And I've actually seen, like, from the nonprofit side with funders,
Yeah,
on some of the grant applications, they are asking if you use AI
yeah,
to prepare your grant application. So, I don't think that everyone's using the software to determine
yeah.
if you've been using AI, but sometimes they will ask you to disclose that. And I think you're right. AI can be like a tool that you can use,
Hmm.
but if it doesn't necessarily sound like you, it doesn't necessarily use the words that you would use.
Right, right.
And there are times when you can tell if something is AI generated
Hmm.
because of how it sounds or how it
Yeah.
looks. So I think that you're right. It can be a useful tool for those who like need that push. But I think that you also do have to really like just spend some time writing or hiring someone like you as a consultant who can offer that sort of help, whether
Hmm.
it's writing the business plan for the entrepreneur
Yeah.
or reviewing it or just giving them some feedback or some guidance. So I think
Hmm.
that a lot of people are really intimidated by the business plan, but
Definitely.
it's a necessary tool for
Yes.
you to have for your business. And I think, like you said, it's a living document.
Hmm.
So, like, for example, with your business plan, do you do like an annual review to kind of see, okay, I had this in my business plan. did I accomplish what I had in there? Or, do you make tweaks to it? Or what sort of process do you use for your business as far as reviewing your business plan?
Well, currently, I every other month I'll look at it, but then I'm always adding something to my business, and so because folks talk about multiple streams of income, and I feel like within your business you can have multiple streams of income, creating products, creating processes, creating different websites, whatever you need to do within your business, you can create that those multiple streams of income. So I'm consistently looking at my business plan. So right now, I'm not sure when I really grow, how often I'll look at it. But I still almost feel like a startup because the coffee industry is so large. The coffee industry is ever changing. Something's always trending. Sometimes your target market is different, who you want to target. And so I'm completely I started off e-commerce, and then I started to do vendor events, and now I'm on to creating my answer to decaf. I can't reveal it right now, but my answer to decaf, because I'm doing some research and some tasting on something different than decaf, as well as how to become a full operating roastery. So I'm always looking at ways to elevate my business and to grow my business. And so my process, I mean, it may be different from others for others, but my process is probably every other month, sometimes several times a month, that I'll look at my business plan, because I want to make sure I am on track, as well as I'm growing. I'm meeting my short-term goals, and then I'm still on track to meet those long-term goals as well, or add some long-term goals as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, what is your advice? Because a lot of people, like you're talking about how you're doing your research and you're constantly learning, like you're, a lifelong learner.
Mhm.
What tips do you have for that new entrepreneur who's not really clear on how to do research? A lot of people think, oh, then I've got to pay for research. I have to pay people to do research. What are some of your tips on
Yeah.
how to how to ball on a budget as far as research goes?
So my research in the very beginning, I was kind of visiting a lot of the coffee shops, kind of seeing what their setup was, just talking to owners and talking to other customers. And then it began to change because social media became so prominent, and just everything was on social media. And
Mhm.
so I just began to look at other coffee businesses on social media. So TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram. And so what's crazy about that is that the more companies that you look at in your industry, the algorithm kicks in, right? And so now you're starting to see coffee shops that you never saw before, or coffee businesses. That's for me. And so my research was different. Like, I'm looking through, and then I'll look into their comments or into their posts, and then I'll click on something that they have already done, like a coffee farm. So your research changes. So for at first it was just me, doing the footwork and going out. I still do it sometimes because I want to see what the competition is. I don't want to open a coffee shop, but I'm always tasting other coffee shops, their blends and things like that, and see what they're doing. But now my research has changed. So now I still have the internet. Sometimes I ask AI a question. Sometimes I ask Siri a question. But definitely on social media, once you start to get into that particular industry and you start to click on those pages, your algorithm changes. So now you're starting to see, oh, they're purchasing their beans from Guatemala, straight from the farm. How can I get connected with that instead of me having a third party? So your your research really changes as you go. So my and then attending the conferences, attending the conventions that they have all over the country. They had a whole roasting convention right here in Schaumburg that I went to. And so as you begin to learn more about your business and subscribe to a lot of the newsletters from different um, magazines in your industry, you'll start to learn more about where these events are, and I'm saying, what's trending. Like, they're always updating their newsletters. So subscribing to newsletters, social media, just kind of stalking some folks' pages, and then walking into or talking to those that are in that particular industry.
And then I know for you, for Creative Impact, you're planning quite a few, or not quite a few, but you're planning some webinars and some in-person seminars on writing business plans and other things as well, correct?
That is correct. I'm always willing to collaborate with nonprofit organizations, just organizations or individuals that want to have me come in and speak to groups of individuals that want to write business plans or, kind of get started in entrepreneurship. And so, yes, some in-person workshops, webinars, and like I said, I'm still working on those books. And then I have a website that is soon to be published as well, that I have my blog, the books, and all of my events. So yes, I'm always looking to collaborate because I want to help.
And speaking of collaborations, I will say that Kristi is one of the facilitators. The Village Legal and Community Project has a cohort for entrepreneurs. It's called our BOSS program.
Mhm.
And BOSS stands for Business Owner Smart Start. So when I envisioned this cohort, I said, what do entrepreneurs really need to know about starting a business? And what are the different areas that we need to touch on to give them some exposure to the different areas? So we have a cohort that covers legal entities, business plans, marketing plans, financial statements, how to get certified as a veteran-owned, minority-owned, woman-owned business.
Mhm.
We talk about different ways to fund your business. And then we always end each cohort with a pitch contest. And so people who have participated in the cohort actually get to present their business ideas to judges. And our judges are always entrepreneurs. They own businesses, they work with entrepreneurs, and they get feedback. And then we also award prizes for our pitch contest participants who win. We have a first, second, and third place.
Mhm.
We've typically awarded, for example, a one-page business plan that Kristi and Creative Impact will do for you. And that's courtesy of the Village as part of your pitch contest prize. So I encourage anyone who's interested. We're going to be starting a new cohort in January, like mid to late January. So definitely sign up. Go on our website, tvlcp.org. You can sign up for our newsletters. There's an application for the BOSS program on there. A lot of times people will ask, what do I need to have? Like, do I have to have a business already established? There are some programs where you have to have a business already established. You have to have a certain amount of gross revenue. Our program is a lot more basic than that. You could have a business idea, or you could have a hobby that you want to turn into a business. And we welcome you to join the cohort because we will talk about the difference between a corporation and an LLC. Kristi will talk about the various components that go into a business plan. We have people who will talk about the marketing plan. And these are all subject matter experts who are, top of their field, and they do this because they all, like me, are very dedicated to economic development and creating businesses because, people want to be their own boss. People want to have a business they can pass down to their family. People want to employ people in the community. And so when you have all of these things, it leads to stronger communities. People become economically independent.
Mhm.
And our BOSS program is free. So there are some programs where you will pay, and some they pay thousands and thousands to
Mhm.
be part of these cohorts. So our cohort is actually free. So if there's anyone who has questions about the cohort, if you're interested in the cohort, I really ask that you reach out to the Village. Kristi has been a facilitator with the organization and with that program since day one. And she's always very, very, very committed to providing great feedback to the
Yes.
participants and really helping them understand the business plan, because it is one of the most intimidating parts of starting a business. Yes, there's a lot of legal things like contracts and paperwork, and we help with like entity formation and your governance documents and things like that. But the business plan is something that can't be neglected. Like, it is essential for you to kind of know what's going on with your business and to like kind of touch base with yourself. Like I say, people should review their business plans if it's just once a year to kind of say,
Yeah.
well, where are we?
Mhm.
And where did we think we were going to be? What can we do better? What sort of changes can we make to the business? Because
Yeah.
maybe some of the things you were doing
Mhm.
aren't necessarily like working for you. So, you need to have an idea of who you are and what you're doing. And like she said, for funders, if you go into a bank for like a business loan or a line of credit, they're going to want to know who you are
Mhm.
and what you're doing and what makes your business different than the others and who's behind your business, who is part of your executive team.
Mhm.
What are your projections for your finances? So the business plan is essentially your business in a snapshot, or it's a snapshot of your business or a
Mhm.
roadmap for people.
Yeah.
So I really encourage everybody, if you're interested in our cohort, please let me know. If you're interested in getting in touch with Kristi and Creative Impact, we can put you in touch with her if you need help with your business plan or with grants or with any sort of consulting work to help your business. We are 100% here to help. And so,
Yes.
Kristi, any final words you have for our listeners out here, our viewers?
I just want to say you can do it. You absolutely can do it. It may take some time. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. But if you absolutely know in your heart that you are an entrepreneur, then I believe in you and you can do it.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart, but it's an enjoyable,
It is.
thing. So I want to thank you, Kristi, again for joining us. Again, if anybody has questions, you can get in touch with me at tvlcp.org. I can put you in touch with Kristi. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next time.